guys, thanks for joining me. I just watched Dracula Untold, the untold story of Dracula, I guess. I don't think anybody's ever done a Dracula origin story before. Definitely not like this. Okay, so this is a Universal picture starring Luke Evans as Dracula slash Vlad the Impaler, and it takes place back in I think the 1400s, with the actual Vlad the Impaler, who, for those of you who don't know, was a real guy who fought in wars against the Ottoman Empire, and he was a ruler in Transylvania, so that and he would like drink the blood of his enemies like in real life to like as a fear tactic to make them think he was some sort of monster. And that really shines through. I love how this was a mix. This movie was a mix of classic Dracula lore with actual historical significance with Vlad the Impaler. Luke Evans does a great job as Vlad the Impaler. So the premise is, for those of you who don't know, Vlad the Impaler, his country, Transylvania, has to pay tribute to the Ottoman Empire, the Ottoman Turks, like every year. But this year they demand more. They demand like 1,000 of their young men to come serve in the army, and Vlad the Impaler's own son, Vladimir Dracula's own son, he will have to part with him, and he can't bear to do that. But he doesn't have the military might to fight the Ottoman Turks, so what he does is he remembers that there's an old legend of this vampire that lives high up in the mountains. So he goes and he seeks it out, and he makes a deal with this ancient vampire that if the vampire will give him vampiric powers for 3 days, but if Vlad drinks human blood before the 3 days are over, he will be stuck a vampire forever. If he can resist, then he will just get to use those powers to destroy the Turks for 3 days, and then get to be human again. So the action sequences where he is using the vampire powers are awesome. It's got all the classic vampire powers like speed, strength, being able to turn into the bat, and being able to see in the dark. It's really cool, and it was very refreshing after like Twilight and Underworld, sort of each of them in their own way screwed with the lore a little bit, and I'm just glad to see vampires again without guns. Meh. So Luke Evans does a great job as Dracula. He was a good action hero, or anti-hero, villain, if you will. He was a good lead, and he was definitely brought his emotion there. You believe that he would actually do this to save his family, to save his country, even if it cost him maybe his own soul. The lore building was really neat because he would get hurt by sunlight and by silver, but only a full real vampire gets hurt by like crosses or holy water, so that he's safe from that. That was neat to see, some neat world building. His ability to command bats, like creatures of the night, and it was all a lot of fun. It's a very, very fun movie, very intense. Weaknesses, it was a little weak on the acting side besides Luke Evans. You had 2 or 3 good actors, particularly the old vampire he meets, the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, who is his main enemy. His wife and son do a pretty good job. There's this one priest guy who does a pretty good job, but for every like good character, there's a couple, 2 or 3 characters that you don't even remember. I think they're just not given enough time. It launches you kind of straight into the action, and there's not a whole lot of time to bond with people. Maybe 1 or 2 scenes. And they're acting well, but they're not given a whole lot of time for you to be like, oh man, I really care about you, and I'm going to remember your name, basically. We're deprived of that a little bit. I love the way this movie plays out, and something that really intrigues me is Universal is apparently trying to follow in Marvel's footsteps and make a Universal monster universe, because they own the rights to all the classic movie monsters like the Mummy, Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, maybe like the Creature of the Black Lagoon or the Phantom of the Opera, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, I think. like all these really classic old movie monsters and literary figures. They own the rights to a bunch of them, and I know for sure that the Mummy is the next on the way. But apparently they're all going to be interconnected. Like that, I'm sure Dracula and the Wolfman, the Mummy won't all get together and have like a Dark Avengers, but we might get like a Dracula versus the Wolfman, or a Mummy versus Frankenstein's monster movie, or a movie where they all like are being hunted down by the same guy and have to like come together to fight him, or a couple of them help the hunter fight another one of them. And I'm really intrigued to see that play out, because it's the first cinematic universe that's really being tried that's not strictly superheroes. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. And this is the first in that universe. Apparently, it wasn't going to be originally. Apparently, it was just going to be a standalone thing. But then they realized that they liked it a lot, and that they were going to have a Dracula in the monster universe. So why not have it be this Dracula, since they liked it so well? And I'm very excited to see how this story ties in to the others. I imagine it'll be something like Captain America: The First Avenger. Like, like this will be sort of a prequel. And it's neat that it comes first. So we'll get, the past, and then we'll get the present, or maybe it'll be like in the 1800s, like where the classic novels were set. I don't know. The few complaints I have about this movie are some of the characters aren't given enough time. The setup is a little weak. Like I said, they throw you right in the action, but I think the movie might suffer for it a little bit, because you're a little bit just a hair lost. And there's a couple of plot points that aren't completely explained. Like some things will happen, and you're like, why did that happen? And it doesn't end up telling you. You just sort of have to make up your own reasoning. But by and large, those are small, and they pass so quickly you forget about them until the movie's long over, and you're like, oh yeah, I wonder why that happened. Maybe they'll explain it if they make a Dracula 2, or wherever this story ends up going. Right, so final thoughts. I give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I really liked it. It was a lot of fun. It was very intense, and it had its emotional moments and deeper moments. It was well done, and I'm happy to see a good vampire movie. I always like those classic monsters. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. Let me know in the comments section have you seen this movie? Did you like it? What were your thoughts? All right, so I'll see you next time. Bye.